This is the weekend edition of Fear and Greed, daily business news for people who make their own decisions. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, our weekend show is very different to our weekday show. The weekday show is all about the news, really, isn't it? And the weekend show is about the news still, but it is basically the news competing against itself. Between the two of us, I suppose. We're each nominating what we think is the biggest story of the week, the most remarkable business story of the week, a sleeper business story of the week, and then our favourite story. We need a judge. Obviously, every week we are joined by an adjudicator who is very fair. He sticks to a very strict list of criteria that he changes at whim. That judge is our Fear and Greed colleague, Adam Lang. Adam, good morning.
Good morning, Michael, and good morning, Sean.
Morning, Adam. Morning. I like that idea that you stick to your criteria, which you change at a whim.
Do you want to just very quickly give us we know what the four categories that we're competing in here. The biggest story, most remarkable, sleeper, and our favourite. But what are you looking for in it? Hypothetically, if this was kind of an environment in which the rules actually mattered and the judgments actually had some kind of credibility behind them, what would you be looking for here, Adam?
What's the Constitution say, Adam, that we set up 2.5 years ago when we started the weekend show? What's it say?
The hypothetical criteria are topicality, timeliness, economic impact, subjective bias, that's my subjective bias, of course, and melodrama, something uniquely suited to Michael.
He needs all the help he can get.
Well, remember last week, Adam got the order wrong of his criteria, and he accidentally listed melodrama first, which kind of suggested that it was the main thing that he was looking for. I thought, here we go, I'm in here, and I still lost.
So on the back of that, and you have had, I'm not skiding, but you have had thousands of losses. You've had quite a few losses recently. So this week was obviously a big week for the budget. So, Michael, this week you get to go first with the biggest story of the week.
Thank you, Sean. And you were generous last week, and you actually called it last weekend on the weekend edition and said that I could do the budget this weekend, which I accepted that because it is the biggest story. It was the biggest story last week. It should have won last week, and it's been the biggest story of the week just gone because the budget is big. I mean, that obviously seems obvious.
Strong entry there.
Yeah, you're going to have to do better than that.
Okay. All right. The federal budget is all-encompassing in its impact on everyone. It covers business, it covers the economy, it covers politics. It is huge. There is so much in this, right? But I can only give, how much time have I got allocated to me? 18 minutes here for this one? I can only give you a mere taste in the next 30 seconds or so. Shall we keep it short? Treasurer Jim Chalmers delivered his second consecutive surplus, $9.3 billion. The first back-to-back surpluses in almost 2 decades, but the double but, don't get too used to it because from next year we're in for at least 4 years of deficits totaling $112 billion at this stage.
I like the idea of don't get used to a double butt. That'll put you off.
You've completely thrown me. This was, as you pointed out this week, Sean, an election budget. And you wrote about this in the Fear and Greed newsletter. Head along to fearandgreed.com.au and sign up for our newsletter. It comes out every Wednesday.
Oh, get on with it. Would you get on with it?
Did you like that? I managed to sneak a little plug into the middle of this.
People are still listening.
An election budget, they'll listen to this because there was something for everyone in this budget. For tax cuts for every taxpayer, rental relief, more funding for medicines. The one that everyone's been talking about, the $300 power bill rebates for households. I think it was $325 for small business. The reason why this one got everyone so worked up, and by everyone I mean economists, is that the Treasurer maintains it won't be inflationary. A lot of economists disagree. A Treasury forecast suggests inflation could be back in the target range by the end of the year. I won't kind of get into all of that because obviously it's fraught with danger if I start analysing that. But back to the politics of the budget. Something for everyone, right? How did business react? Well, it depends, I suppose, on what business you're actually in. Some of the peak employer groups wanted to see more budget repair, more savings. But the miners were happy. Plenty of incentives to invest in critical minerals, including about $13.7 billion in production tax credits as part of the Future Made in Australia program. Keep in mind, though, this still has to pass Parliament. And the opposition, I love this. How about this? The opposition said it won't support billions of dollars of handouts to billionaires. Just consider that for a moment. The coalition here turning its back on the big miners. These are fascinating and slightly bizarre times. As for the opposition, obviously on Thursday night, Peter Dutton did his budget in reply address. It covered a few kind of key priorities for the opposition in terms of making changes to foreign investment, really trying to solve the housing crisis, and also cutting migration. What a week! We only get one of these a year. It's like Christmas for economists and for the business community and for everyday taxpayers like me. This week, in fact, I'll narrow it down even further. Not just this week, Tuesday night is the most important night of the year. Adam, write this down because it determines the spending and taxing priorities of the government and where this nation is headed, and that affects every single business. It affects every single person in this country. It is, without a doubt, the biggest story of the week.
Nice effort, Michael. Good try. Did your best. However,
thank you for the generosity there, Sean. You are
amazed that you can somehow make what should be the biggest story of the week the second biggest story of the week. Because, Michael, Adam, economics is the story of the week, of which the budget played a part, probably a minor part, but just a part. Now, let me explain. We entered the week with a 20% chance of a rate hike in Australia this year. We finish with a 50% chance of a rate cut this year in Australia. The budget was part of it. Lower than forecast inflation, slower than forecast economy, a higher than tipped unemployment rate. That is all part of it, which supports the other stuff that happened this week. Nothing was more important for homeowners this week and people with credit cards and car loans and all that sort of stuff than the unemployment rate, which jumped to 4.1%, even after a surge in new jobs. That's because more people are looking for work. Both the growth in employment and unemployment were higher than economists expected. These numbers demonstrate that the data jumps around a fair bit. The message in all this, of course, is that the trend is your friend and the unemployment rate is trending higher. Not really a surprise. We've got high interest rates, of course. In fact, it's been surprising it hasn't gone higher than what it is right now. That was one part of the economics this week. Another part, we had wage price figures come out. It shows that the heat is coming out of wage rises. For most businesses, wages are the major cost, or at least a major cost. For most of them, their main cost. When they go up, businesses charge more. Makes sense? So if wages aren't going up as much, business is less likely to charge as much. A third piece of information this week, we had weaker than expected inflation figures in the US. Suddenly, everyone expects a rate cut in the world's biggest economy this year, possibly two. Put those three things together. In fact, four things. The budget forecast from Treasury, the wage figures, the consumer price index in the US, and the unemployment rate here. The whole landscape on rates has changed in the last 3 or 4 days. Michael, I appreciate the effort you made talking about stuff that probably won't pass government. You know, all the mining stuff, yeah, that'll all be watered down. And the $300 thing, yep, definitely a big story. The stage 3 tax cuts, all that stuff, we already knew about all that. The biggest story this week, notwithstanding your excellent effort on the budget, is economics. No one will be tossing the sausage this weekend talking about the budget. They'll be talking about interest rates. Over to you.
I'm sorry, this is a family show, Sean. Sorry.
On the barbecues. Now that I think of what I just said, I'll take that back. No one will be standing around the barbecue tossing the sausage, talking budgets. It's all about rates. Adam, over to you.
Adam, you need to introduce a 6th criteria here, which is moral decency, and mark Sean down. This is outrageous.
Just be careful on that one. Be careful what you wish for, Michael, on that one.
So good. On the one hand, against you, Sean, we have the Joseph intervention of choosing a box lot of stories.
That was years ago.
Adam,
you don't reckon the budget with that 5 different things that Michael talked about.
It was the budget. It was the budget. One single story.
So these two things are very much linked in that the budget being slightly expansionary and all these indications you described, Sean, coming in lower means that this election budget, which I agree with you, and as you called it, the election budget, they might get away with it, as in not pushing up interest rates. So I think they're both intertwined. I have to give you a draw on this.
Oh, look at the joy on my face and the despair on Michael's. That has made my week, Adam.
Well,
thank you.
They're both so important. And
I'm with you.
There's counterbalance between the two. So excellent work.
Thank you. Michael, you're not saying anything.
I have never been so tempted to storm out.
This is going to live in the annals of fear and greed.
Yes, the almanac.
Remember that week that Michael didn't win on the budget?
And it was a gimme.
But I'm actually speechless.
I don't care if I win now or lose.
Oh God! Okay. I'm not going to walk out. I'm going to stand up for the everyday man, the common Joe. Oh my God! I've even lost all my usual flourishes.
You're the one talking about the billionaire miners. I was the one talking about the car loans.
Do you want to go on to most remarkable stories, Sean?
Yeah, I do. I got a cracker.
This is BS.
This is actually this
Just snuck it in there. BS.
Remarkable. Okay, this is one of the most remarkable stories possibly of the year. I know. I think you'll agree with me, Adam. Meme stocks are back.
Oh.
That is truly remarkable, surely, and totally stupid. A bunch of them, notably GameStop and AMC, surged this week as speculation swirled around the return of social media giant, the man himself, Keith Gill, better known as Roaring Kitty. He was the man who drove the meme stock mania of 2021. The Roaring Kitty post on X over the weekend showed a man, it's like a pencil drawing, a man leaning forward with what looked like a gaming controller, which some traders interpreted to mean that Gill is coming back into action. That's all there was, just this pencil drawing. Gill, whose account has been long dormant, shot to fame back in 2021 by rallying day traders on Reddit in an effort to squeeze GameStop short sellers. Back then, he started posting that GameStop was undervalued. Within a month, it went from about $17 a share to almost $500 a share. It was a time when people were at home, presumably bored. They had money to spend because they couldn't go on holidays because of COVID, so they invested in meme stocks. And Roaring Kitty was at the center of it. Now, eventually there was a Congress investigation into all this, which, my favorite line in that was Roaring Kitty himself admitting that he was not a cat. Anyway, he was back on the weekend. Having disappeared for about 3 years back, his post attracted more than 12 million views in 12 hours. More than 175 million GameStop shares changed hands, almost 30 times the one-year average. In 2 sessions, GameStop's share price almost quadrupled. It's come off a bit, but it's still up a stack. Same for movie theatre owner AMC, all in the back of one pencil drawing, one meme. It is more than remarkable. It is stupidity personified. Good entry, Adam?
Yes.
Thanks.
Don't validate him mid-round. Oh, God. All right, here's one for the underdogs. The most remarkable story this week. What?
The underdogs. I'm talking about retail traders and memes. Go on. Get more underdog than that.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't have introduced this as one for the underdogs, but the victory itself will be one for the underdogs. The story is not really an underdog kind of story. It's, in fact, quite the opposite. What is remarkable is that this week we are watching live in real time, right, an Australian corporate giant stalking its prey, which is very, very exciting.
Hold on, underdog. So which company are we talking about here?
I retracted the underdog comment, and I just said the underdog was in reference to me winning against you in this round. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, fine.
I know where you're going.
I'm talking about mining giant BHP, which doesn't, to be fair, exactly kind of scream underdog. Right. But its pursuit of rival Anglo-American is, without exaggeration, without melodrama, really quite thrilling, right? So far this week, we saw the second bid by BHP, one that valued Anglo at about $64 billion, rejected by the board, and then a twist. A twist. Anglo-American unveiled a new strategy to investors, which involved selling or shutting all the company's assets except those producing copper, iron ore, and crop nutrients. In other words, they'd be selling off the platinum and diamond businesses. If this sounds familiar, and it might, it's because it's very, very similar to what BHP was proposing to do as part of its bid. And the fascinating thing is that Anglo's shareholders didn't like it much when the management of that company proposed it. The share price fell. Now, this is all playing out publicly, very, very publicly. And the theatre, the drama of it all is what is so remarkable, especially when BHP boss Mike Henry said that Anglo's plan validated his own proposal and he would have preferred to discuss it privately with the Anglo-American board. And wait, how about this? If that is not enough to get you on the edge of your seat, there is a deadline to this, a ticking clock the whole time.
God.
May 22, because of the UK's put up or shut up takeover laws designed to stop these things dragging out forever, to give certainty to the companies involved and to markets. And Adam, because I know you love talking about kind of takeovers and all of these big deals. If that was not enough to get your heart racing, and I can see you are kind of clutching at your pearls. Yep. There is another smaller deal that's had a heck of a week too. Private, I know I'm combining a second little one in here, but it's just had a little bit of flavour, a little bit of kind of, this is dessert. Private equity group Anchorage Capital pulled out of a bid by ARN to acquire rival Southern Cross Austereo in a deal that, had it gone ahead, would have changed the radio landscape in Australia forever. And Adam, this is an environment that you and I have spent a lot of time in, and it would have been unrecognisable. There are a whole bunch of contributing factors to this one kind of falling over. Among them was the cancellation of The Bachelor. Can you believe it? But this deal looks to be dead. Can it be revived? Oh, it's a cliffhanger. This whole story is a cliffhanger. Adam.
Okay, so look, Sean, actually I thought you did really well on melodrama with that one. The Roaring Kitty, GameStop. It is a remarkable story. BHP and Anglo-American has to win it, though, for me. I think that is remarkable. And as you reported this week, Sean,
Why is that remarkable?
Well, the elements...
I mean, it's a sympathy win, I get that, but why is that remarkable? Like, truly, in terms of the category, why is it remarkable?
It's a scale.
No, it is the elements whereby BHP put forward a bid, Anglo rejects it as opportunistic and blah, 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 almost the expected response, and then does exactly what BHP was suggesting.
Expected response?
Yes.
Where's the remarkable factor in that
is that the Anglo-American decision to do almost exactly what BHP was suggesting. I thought that was remarkable and quite obvious.
But Michael didn't say that.
Yes, I did. I said all of that. And you know what else? It's also the scale.
I reckon that given I won that you didn't win the budget one, I'm happy to lose this one, even though mine was the meme stock story is the most remarkable story of the year, I'd like to say.
No, it's not.
Okay, I'm going on the attack now. This is ridiculous that I lost that.
Good,
I'm angry.
Good. Fire up, Sean. Let's do this.
Righto.
We'll take a quick break and come back with a sleeper story, which doesn't really kind of sound particularly fiery, does it? But we're going to find a good one. Sean, we are looking for a sleeper story. A sleeper story is, of course, one that's flying under the radar a little bit or maybe not getting the attention that we feel it deserves. Would I like to go first on this one? Yes, I would. I was just assessing what I was going to talk about and seeing whether it was strong enough. I'm like, oh, heck yes, it is strong enough. Good Lord.
Good Lord.
In the past, I have made the case for all kinds of unlikely sleeper stories, right? Everything from AI to the rise of China. Mm-hmm. Rarely have I won making these bold claims.
You did try the reverse sleeper once.
This is what I'm saying. I have a habit of choosing stories that are not sleeper stories and trying to make them into sleepers. And I have not won. Today, that ends. Because today, I put it to you that the RBA has made some of the boldest, clearest statements on the outlook for house prices and for rents, but nobody's heard it. Nobody is listening right now because there is too much other noise from the budget, from markets, from the US. The fact is that the RBA chief economist, Sarah Hunter, has declared a perfect storm, prevented the construction industry from building more homes, even though there is plenty of demand. And worst of all, she says there is no quick fix. Normally, this high level of demand would see an increase in supply, but the industry has been struggling. They can't jump in. They can't kind of suddenly just start building more homes because they're still struggling with the backlog of projects from the COVID era. Finishing trades are in short supply. The cost of building a new home is up a whopping 40% in just 5 years. These factors have all combined to force kind of some developers and investors to either delay or scrap projects altogether. They can't make any money out of them. The end result is this alarming prognosis from the RBA that house prices are going to keep rising, but also this part, that rents are going to keep going up too. That's despite signs a few weeks ago, right, that the pressure on rents was starting to ease. That is not the case, it seems. And because of that, and because of the broad impact of this on so much of the Australian population, Adam, I humbly submit this as Fear and Greed's United Sleeper Story of the Week. I don't think I have the ability to speak on your behalf on this one, Sean. It's a little bit of a flourish there at the end.
I like it. I mean, I think this fits into the sleeper story just like AI did.
Well, Sean, why don't you surprise us with something? Why don't you tell us about something that no one's ever heard of?
Well, I'm getting a bit aggressive. I'm cranky about that last meme stock failure. Aristocrat. Now, in fact, Adam, let's have a two-way conversation here. What does Aristocrat Leisure do, Adam?
Oh, they have gambling machines and software.
Continue. Any more information? Perfect answer. We don't really know because it is the ultimate sleeper company. Aristocrat Leisure, the 17th largest company on the ASX, yet someone as smart, a genius, a former CEO like Adam has absolute bugger all idea what it does. Well, that's irrelevant. But if I'd asked it in a different way, irrelevant. Who started Aristocrat? Well, no, that's an unfair question.
Len Ainsworth.
Well done. But he Googled it.
No, I haven't Googled a thing.
He's Googled it.
I need a cigarette. This is glorious.
What year did he start it in?
Oh, gosh. Now you have me. 63?
Oh, see, he's Googling.
I'm not Googling.
He's Googling. There's no doubt about it. He started in 65, ran it for years, falling out with the family members, and Len started Ainsworth Gaming. The boys got Aristocrat. It is the 17th largest stock in the country, bigger than Santos, bigger than Coles, bigger than Xero, Cochlear, Suncorp, bigger than all those, yet so few people know about it. Well, some do, to be honest, but Aristocrat Leisure must be the least known top 20 stock on the ASX, hence a great sleeper story. Shareholders have earned a return of 800% over the past decade, including a massive 12% jump in one session this week. It's got three arms, right? It's got traditional gaming machines, things you find in pubs, clubs and casinos. It's got online social machines, as in no money, and then online real money games. It's doing really well in the US slot machine market. It effectively rents out its machines and takes a cut of the money put through them. It launched 6 NFL-branded games over the past 12 months, and because it takes a cut of the money going through them, those NFL games are extremely popular. It's actually had a boom year in terms of revenue. In fact, Troy Croker, the chief executive, said it was the biggest launch in the company's history. In the social gaming division, a 17% increase in profit was driven by growth in its market share in social, not the money one, the social online, and the continued success of a role-playing video game. This is where it gets interesting. Michael, stop it. I can see you getting very excited. Role-playing video game called Raid Shadow Legends. You enter a fantasy world and go on quests involving lords, barbarians, demon spawn, and elves, among others. It's like a modern-day Dungeons & Dragons, a game I'm sure you played, Adam. And even though it's about 20 years after your time, Michael, you probably played it too. This is Aristocrat Leisure is one of Australia's most successful companies. It's a major exporter, incredible IP, intellectual property, yet very few retail investors know a lot about it. And because it jumped 12% this week, I just thought it is worthy of the sleeper story of the week. Mind you, it is up against something that no one knew about, the housing crisis.
So, Dungeons and Dragons, that was a nice little quip, Sean. I did try and play it once.
Oh, I bet you did.
Yeah.
I bet you
and
did.
Do you remember what the dice? It was a dodecagon.
I never played it. Just the nerds at school played it, so I never played it.
Yeah, I had a go, but I wasn't a good enough nerd. I played it once and left it.
Yeah, but it also requires that rare type of nerd.
What's that?
A nerd with friends. Actually, unfortunately, I never played Dungeons and Dragons. couldn't rustle up a posse.
Yeah, Sean, you win.
But he was talking about a company that everyone's heard of.
Yeah, I actually don't think it is in the popular parlance. You know, it is a massive Australian success story. I have a personal issue with gambling, but not a professional one. And so I think their sort of business story is amazing.
I just would also like to point out that in the sleeper category, Michael, who did housing, is complaining about me talking about a company that everyone's heard of. Anyway.
Well, I mean, this way, I would almost prefer us both to be struck out on that one.
1.5 to 1.5. On to the favourite story.
Oh, good Lord. All right, Sean, you go for it. You're leading in on this one, and I will bring it home strong.
My favourite story this week was the one about Scott Morrison meeting Donald Trump. Why? I think it's a cultural cringe element that totally captivated me on this one. We have a former Prime Minister meeting a former president. You know, the bloke from the Shire in Sydney's South couldn't wait to tweet about it. ScoMo's in the US promoting his recent book about being a Christian. Now, some Trump folk are helping him promote it. I just need to read the tweet that ScoMo put out slightly breathlessly, having met Donald Trump. And I quote, was pleased to meet with former President Donald Trump on Tuesday night at his private residence in New York. That's pretty exciting. It was nice to catch up again, especially given the pile-on he's currently dealing with in the US. It was also a good opportunity to discuss AUKUS, which received a warm reception. We also discussed the continuing assertions of China in the Indo-Pacific, the threats against Taiwan, issues we discussed regularly when we were both in office. Oh, so you used to be Prime Minister, ScoMo. So you did. Once again, the former president showed his true appreciation of the value he places on the Australian-US alliance and the shared role of supporting what our friend Shinzo Abe called a free and open Indo-Pacific. This is where my toes curl when I read this. Good to see you, DJT, and thanks for the invitation to stay in touch. All the best. Donald Trump invites everyone to play golf at Mar-a-Lago. No. ScoMo got a thanks for the invite to stay in touch. Oh, dear. Isn't it sort of embarrassing or not in my mind? Anyway, my favourite story of the week. Michael.
Oh, look, my favourite story is actually about business, which I know it's odd for us to be doing a business story in a business news podcast. But anyway, it is about how
Let me correct you. It's odd for you to be doing a business story in a business podcast. Go on.
It feels like we didn't need to point that out, Sean. It is about one of the biggest success stories in business in history, and in particular, how it overcame a PR nightmare 20 years ago to surge to dizzying new heights today. It has been exactly 2 decades since the movie Super Size Me came out, where director and star Morgan Spurlock ate only McDonald's for a month, which sounds good. I mean, it would sound great to a kid, wouldn't it? But I mean, in reality, watching the movie, you're like, okay, I see the point. He was trying to prove a point. He was proving that fast food chains weren't good for people's health. He made that point. He made it well. The movie was a hit. It helped to raise awareness of healthy eating. It encouraged Macca's to discontinue its supersized menu. But, triple but But did it slow the march of the Golden Arches? It did not. Fast forward 20 years, there are now 42,000 McDonald's restaurants. The company's share price is up nearly 1,000% since the movie came out. But the company has evolved. Like when you look at it as well, you look at, say, the Australian restaurants, everyone contains a McCafe now, which was an Australian invention originally, which is spreading globally. You can get apple chips instead of fries with your Happy Meal. You can even opt for a salad if you want, something that I am yet to do. I think the continued strength of McDonald's is a pretty remarkable story. And the fact that it not just survived, but actually thrived after the Super Size Me storm 20 years ago is just amazing. It's a short one. It is a business story. Adam, I think I've got this one. Oh, I shouldn't be cocky. Adam, I hope that's enough to win. There we go. That was better.
Did you know I remember when this came out, I was working in the US, I think, or I was working in the US just afterwards, and I interviewed Charlie Bell. Charlie Bell started in the Maroubra store at McDonald's in Sydney's eastern suburbs, made his way to become CEO of McDonald's Corporation.
That is amazing, isn't it?
He spectacular, literally worked his way through the stores. Lovely fella. I actually met him on the steps of some function at some point, and then when I sort of chased him up and interviewed him, I didn't use the fact that I'd met him before. I walked in the door and he goes, "Oh, I know you. I met you on the steps of this dinner that we've been at." He had this photographic memory. One of the more impressive people I've come across, tragically died of illness at the age of 44. But I remember asking him about this particular Super Size Me movie, and he goes, "Well, what do you expect? You eat McDonald's breakfast, lunch and dinner. Of course it's not going to be good for your health." And I thought, yeah, fair point. Fair point. Didn't have very far to go. Anyway, sorry, I digress talking about myself there, but Charlie Bell was a really remarkable individual.
Oh, it's a great memory. Yeah, Michael wins on that one. I think that's a great story, McDonald's, and how they prevailed against that challenge. And when it comes to the cultural cringe, Sean, I'm right there with you. I just found that whole thing irksome. I didn't like it. So it was hard for me to see that picture of them together in the tweet.
Yeah, maybe it should be my least favourite story. Like, just do the reverse favourite.
Maybe we could do that, yeah.
Can we just observe for a fact that I came back from the staggering depths of the disaster that was trying to argue the housing crisis was a sleeper story?
Even you acknowledge that, Michael.
Oh, well, I can now because actually, no, I will never, ever, ever concede. I will never admit that. So we're going to have to delete the part where I just did.
Yeah, that's
2.5 to 1.5.
Yeah.
Well done, Michael.
Thank you. And just, Adam, can we have the scores?
For posterity, for the annals, yes.
Yep.
Sean, 90 points. Michael, maybe into new territory. 94 points.
Oh.
Whoa.
And you know what? It's the beginning of a new era. Like, I know it's only 1 week.
Every era has to start somewhere.
That's right. We will look back on this and go, remember that time that Michael argued the housing crisis was a sleeper story?
Remember that time that Adam said the meme story wasn't the most remarkable story of the week?
Remember that time that Adam said that the budget wasn't the biggest story of budget week?
No. I wouldn't put that on Adam.
Oh, it wasn't on me. I know that accountability is important, but I accept no responsibility. All right. Good stuff. Good result. Great result. Congratulations to me. I'm so not used to winning that I don't actually know what to do. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam. Well done.
Oh, thank you both. It was great fun.
Make sure you're following the podcast and join us online on LinkedIn, Instagram, X, TikTok and Facebook. I'm Michael Thompson and that was Fear and Greed. Have a great weekend.